It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. Welcome to Friday. If you think I sound a bit hoarse, I am. It's just fatigue. Holy shit. My lipstick is not a super bright. Look, it's less bright than my pen. It's less bright than this pen. And it's less bright than this pen. Haha, that's what I have to do. I have to do pen tests. That's something different. But yeah, thanks for everybody welcoming Megan to Two Women Talking. I like talking about that stuff, even though a lot of people on the channel are not familiar with A Court of Thorn and Roses, precisely because people aren't familiar with it. And let's face it, my channel is mostly guys. So, I think it's good to be able to know what this thing is, since it was the most popular book series of last year, without you having to choke through reading it, because it is very much written by and for women. And one of the things I find so fascinating about that is it has all the sort of problematic and toxic content that we complain about in things like video games. But it's treated as a very different thing. And I have issues with that. And this ties into Wednesday's video, because there's social stuff and then there's political stuff, and the lines blur a lot these days. And I don't believe that getting along with people who are different is political. I judge people based on their actions, not on their politics. If you treat people decently, I do not care how you identify. If you don't treat people decently, I don't care that you check a bunch of boxes. And it's amazing how pissy people get about that. And I am really hesitant to bring on, and I mean, I know there's plenty of people half my age on the internet. Most people on the internet are half my age these days, but I do feel a responsibility to make sure who people come on as guests on Two Women Talking have a good experience. So thanks for that. Regarding Monday's video, I knew, well, let's do help support this channel. And then we can go this way. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK. Those donated sessions are super important right now for obvious reasons. I knew Monday's video was going to hit some nerves. I was surprised, though, at the stuff, the hostility to some, I admit I don't understand where it came from, because it was a bunch of blah, blah, blah talking points about mating and resources. And I personally can't take someone seriously when they show up with basically Sex at Dawn stuff. The idea that's a book that my original exposure to Sex at Dawn was somebody trying to convert me to polyamory. And they gave me a book that basically said women should have multiple male sex partners because it's better for social cohesion, because bonobos do it. And then she asked me, what do you think of the book? And I told her that that's utterly ridiculous. You can't make an argument for human behavior based on bonobos. And she found a way to get hostile with me after that. But this idea that we are just apes and And not the cool Planet of the Apes, like not Caesar. Caesar's awesome. We'd be better off if more people were like Caesar. But this idea that culture, society is just about mating and resource allocation. First of all, guys, you talk like that anywhere near a woman, she is never dating you ever. And you may think this is unfair, but it is true. If you believe that society is just about mating and resources, and it's just about, well, women have the babies, so men have to get the resources, maybe stop complaining on YouTube and go out and get filthy, stinking rich. Because what you're doing is basically normalizing gold digging. Please stop. I know you don't realize that's what you're doing, but if you are correct, then the male role in society, because you cannot give birth, is just to be a collector of resources. And we all know what happens with that. You end up as a guy in a game mining gold, yelling, "Stop poking me!" That is a really, really, really old Warcraft, pre-World of Warcraft reference. I am an old gamer, okay? I played those games pre-World of Warcraft. I loved Warcraft 3. I loved it. Never mind. But seriously, you're wrong. Society is not just about popping out babies and resources. If that were true, we wouldn't have art. We wouldn't have these identity categories that people go to war over. If it's just about fucking and popping out kids and eating and shitting, we don't need the term anti-SJW, okay? It's pointless. How does that control resources? Oh, well, it goes to here, 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 and this is how we get resources. And please fuck me, woman. Like, no, please. Just fuck me, woman. Like, are you listening to yourselves? Are you? This is what makes humans so complex. If you even go Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those basic physical needs are only the bottom of the pyramid. Identity is important. And feeling like your identity isn't being attacked is important. And it's really strange to me that people get really hostile whenever I offer alternatives to the status quo. And they claim to not like the status quo, but instead of engaging with my main point, they just start becoming media critics and find this one strange tangent to complain about. And all that does is prove you're missing the point. You know, if you don't like the style of my videos, watch something else. There's plenty of TikTokers who do things short subject and load up their whole thing with jump cuts. Go watch them. Again, the entire point of me doing videos this way is because I do not edit. I do not script. This is me. These are my true beliefs. I am not hiding behind anything. You can't claim I'm a grifter. You can't claim I'm a scam artist. You can't claim I'm just trying to fool men or I'm just trying to be a fake ally or anything like that. No, this is me unvarnished. That's the whole point. And I do not care if you don't like it. I do stuff for the people that do. And that's really the core of it, right? We live in a very hostile world right now. And it might just be humanity reverting to the norm after years of sort of, you know, getting away from it and living relatively peaceably. But, you know, the 60s were tumultuous. And then we sort of had a period where some people did really, really well and then others didn't. Then we had AIDS in the 90s. And then we had whatever the fuck broke. Well, the subprime mortgage bust really did presage a lot of this culture war stuff, because, and it's not that, oh, it's competition for resources. No, it's not. People got their pride damaged. If it was just about resources, people would be, all right, where are the jobs? How do I retrain to get those jobs? That's what I'm going to do. They wouldn't be on the internet fighting about SJWs. And, I mean, let's face it, the whole social justice thing got so repudiated the last US election. I see no point in fighting about that anymore. I think there was a resounding victory in that regard. And it was really frustrating for me and kind of scary to watch a bunch of well-meaning people fuck up leaning into that really social justice-y kind of language. And if those of you who are new to the channel, I just want to declare what my view is on that kind of stuff, because I don't fit neatly into any category. I don't believe there's social justice, economic justice, and then, legal justice or the courts. That people who use terminology like social justice don't even refer to justice. They refer to it as the legal system. I believe that you cannot subdivide justice. Either something is just or it's not. And if something is not just, then it's going to negatively impact social justice, economic justice, and criminal justice. It isn't, one thing isn't great socially but bad economically. That doesn't make any sense. And economically, no one can be a good worker when they're terrified and they feel like the world hates them. I mean, the week leading up to the whole tariff thing, you felt the panic up here in Canada. And I think everybody felt it, just because you couldn't look anywhere without some reminder that a much bigger economy is coming for us. And to the Americans who have felt the need to apologize, you don't have to. I know a lot of you did not vote for Trump. And even if you did, the fact that what is a tariff was searched after the election. There's no perfect candidates. I don't totally understand, and I've given up understanding why someone would think Trump was a better alternative to Harris. People make these decisions emotionally and then backfill a justification a posteriori. And it is what it is. If we don't acknowledge our emotional cores and how important emotions are to our decision making, you're going to get it wrong. And that's the problem with the fucking and resources argument. Where's the emotion? Like, what I hear from men again and again and again and again is they want more than sex and reproduction. They do not see women as just gatekeepers to offspring. They want a partner. And yes, I'm being heteronormative here. I'm talking about straight guys, right? Because, I mean, gay couples certainly complicate the mating and resources argument, right? So, yeah. But the men are not these pure logic brutes. even the guys who are sort of more on the violent end of things, and, you know, I grew up in the Jane Finch neighborhood in Toronto. That's where I cut my teeth on peer counseling. Okay. I saw both what the offshoots of poverty were doing to boys, but also saw the horrible effects of it on girls. You know, these girls ended up in group homes because they were abused at home. And I worked with one girl who was 14 years old and had a 21-year-old boyfriend. And they never confirmed it for us, but it was very possible that boyfriend was also her pimp. So if you wonder why I don't separate economic justice from social justice, from criminal justice, that's why. The poverty is the root of it all. And if we ban certain states of being, if we, and you know, a big problem in the US right now is that a lot of the heavy manufacturing and mining jobs, especially coal mining in places like, you know, Kentucky, they're just fading because we have better, less dirty, more efficient, cheaper forms of energy. Coal's becoming obsolete in North America gradually. You know, oil furnaces are becoming obsolete. There's just way better. I had an oil furnace when I moved in here. We got rid of it because holy fuck, it was expensive. And that was before the carbon tax, right? The markets are working in that regard, but these guys who, you know, it was generations of men who knew they were going to get black lung and die young, but it was money that they could raise a family and feel a sense of purpose and a role. They knew where they stood in society, and there was a dignity to that. And that got taken away. And an underpinning of the opioid epidemic in that area is the solution was to train these guys' wives as nurses. But that didn't retrain the guys. And, you know, as somebody who just couldn't make it work to be satisfied with being a wife and mother and make that my identity. No, what I do is a big, like what I do for a living is a big part of my identity. I take being a person who does journalism in the intersection of tech and culture very, very seriously. And I got out of game journalism because I determined you could not do in-depth investigative reporting in gaming. There was no access. That was the real problem. The game companies were not opening their doors to anyone but a small handful of people, and everybody knew those guys were assholes. But those assholes now have fairly cushy jobs at, you know, newspapers and things like that. Who knows how long that's going to last? But, you know, those newspapers are bleeding money. But, you know, now that I'm in mental health reporting, I take that extremely seriously. And one of the things that I believe is important to report is context. So when I see, Boss Fighter did the WSCM, white, straight, cisgender men. And I find very little difference on this point between cisgender dudes and trans dudes on this. Their jobs are important, right? Their jobs and feeling like there's a dignity to their job really matters. And I do think that there's something on the other side that I know a few women, they're fantastic, but they were primarily stay-at-home moms. They work part-time, but their priority was raising their kids. And they want a dignity in that, too. And there's, you know, there are trade-offs there. Especially with, only a 1.5 income household. And the kids are great, so they did something right. But yeah, I don't see that as any different than the first comment that came in on Wednesday's video. I'm going to read it to you because I want you to look at the crossovers here. Don't get hung up in the identifiers. Look at the crossover between I'm lonely and I feel under attack that WSCMs are feeling and white women are feeling and everybody else is feeling. Listen to this and compare it to how you feel instead of reacting to the first 5 words. Because the first 5 words are, I'm a black trans woman. Right? Take a breath. We're going to move forward. My social circle was already pretty small because of the societal intolerance and potential danger. There is a surplus of people who literally do not feel that our lives are worth anything and actively express that to us. They don't care to understand that we have mutual needs that can be effectively fought for through solidarity because so many people currently, and have been for a long time, view us as subhuman. Our subjugation is part of their identity. It just feels like we're born into the world having to put in way more effort than others are willing to put in for us with little to no positive outcome. It's a lot, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is for that to be your existence. And the truth is that if you went, I'm a white, straight, cisgender dude, and there's a surplus of feminists who literally do not feel that our lives are worth anything and actively express that to us. The truth is, everyone can understand how difficult it is for that to be your existence. Because if you spend a lot of time online, that is how you end up feeling. All the forces that say, I'm with you, are also, I'm against them. The loudest voices are all, they're coming for you. This is the messaging in conservative circles. The liberals are coming for your children. They want to groom your children, right? They're coming for you. With the left, they're coming for your rights. They want to kick you out if you're brown. They want to put you in jail if you're black. And they want to deny you any sort of happiness if you're gay. By the way, bisexual and pansexual people, you don't fucking exist. See also, you trans people, right? These are the messages. And the truth is that I really think listening to people, they don't really give a shit about a lot of this stuff until it's recognized as a threat in their brains. And people can only feel under threat so much, so this apathy becomes greater. And that's the real problem. The why should I care? We know the data for black trans women is fucking awful, right? That's the group. Black and brown trans women. Those are the ones that are getting murdered because of societal intolerance. And, there's a lot of roots to that we don't have time to get into now, but that's very real. And I do think the core thing in this commenter's statement is we have mutual needs that can be effectively fought for through solidarity. They're right. She's right. Sorry. I don't have to say they identified as a woman. She's right. And I do think, like I said in the video, we need to engage with each other as people. This is what I'm going through. Not this is what white, straight, cisgender men are going through. Because, okay, that's a big fucking category, right? Even the Black trans community doesn't all have the same needs, right? It's different in, say, Canada right now versus the US. It's a terrible time to be trans in the US. The government is openly hostile to them. And the same government seems to be doing its damn best to crash the economy. So we're all in this together with what the fuck, because, the current US government is not just trying to, actively put a bunch of people out of work and put in tariffs that are going to drive up costs at the same time. The decreased demand is going to hurt us up here. It's going to be, frankly, I think Mexico's going to be fine. They have that whole Latin American market that they can sell to, as well as overseas. Mexico got plenty of ports, plenty of seaports. Mexico's going to be just fine. Y'all go, I'm moving to Canada. Learn to speak Spanish. Move to Mexico. You'll be better off. Just don't be an asshole. But we can all be in this together. And the way to do that is, instead of going, nobody cares about men, or nobody cares about trans people, or no, that's just not true. Plenty of people care. Do they have power? Maybe not. Some do. But the truth is, if nobody cares, that means they don't hate you. If you think that the vast majority of the planet hates you, that says something about your immediate circle, your own experiences. So let's just deal with that, right? I think that everybody deserves a community where they're judged on their behavior, not their identity. And, I say this as, somebody who keeps kosher and does not feel comfortable in left-wing spaces accordingly. Because it's okay to be Jewish as long as you're not one of those weird observant ones, right? You love genocide. It's not fucking true. The reason I took a lot of the positions I did pre-election is I've seen this happen before. If you let the perfect be the enemy of the good, you end up with the bad. And Trump was being very open about what was going to happen to Gaza if he got elected. So I don't know how people miss that. I don't know how people looked the other way and went, oh, maybe he'll be better. He was telling you he was going to be a lot worse. It was right there. And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that information just didn't trickle through because people got used. But he showed up and she didn't. It doesn't matter if if the person looking to terrorize you comes up and beats you personally or leaves it to an underling. You're still getting beaten, And people didn't ask me why I had the views I did. People didn't try to figure out why I had a different point of view. They just decided I was a genocidal baby murderer. And I'm like, I'm out of here. Fuck this. This is bullshit, And this is what's happening everywhere. If all you see is the Black trans woman, if all you see is the white straight cisgender man, if all you see is the fake Jew, because you're the wrong kind of Jew, you're not seeing the person who is complicated and messy and has other things about them, This is what's weakening us collectively and pulling us apart. Instead of going, okay, I joke because I know a lot of people who are into things like BDSM and other things that I just am not into. And I say, look, I'm not kink shaming. I'm just kink confused. that kind of stuff. Like, if that makes people feel good, great. There's not enough feeling good in the world. I don't share those physiological responses. We can still be cool, right? It's not that hard. And that's the thing. It isn't hard to just go, okay, you have this different framework. You have this different lens on life. Please don't make negative assumptions about me. How about making some positive assumptions about me? Because I'm making positive assumptions about you until I see otherwise. Okay? It isn't just no assumptions or negative assumptions. You can make some positive assumptions. You don't get taken advantage of. The beauty of having positive assumptions, and giving people chances is like when the people who I've taken to refer to as my fan club, start saying that I have anger problems and can't handle criticism and just blows up at people the minute they disagree with me, is there's plenty of people that know that's not true, right? And then they're like, prove it. Like, no, you can't prove a non-event. There'd be a hell of a lot more people with stories of me just going nuts on them at the slightest provocation. If that were true, the accuser has to prove it. And the benefit is there's plenty of people. I do Twitch weekly. I do these unfiltered, all that stuff. And I come here with arguments and I say, this is why I don't agree with you. And this is why I think you're wrong. And this is why I actually think your viewpoint might actually be isolating you. And if you continue to talk about people as if there's some sort of fungible resource, people are not going to want to be around you because most people want human-to-human connection. And unfortunately, a lot of the right-wing movements teach guys to go, it's all about mating and resources, knowing that will get them rejected from women, knowing that is guaranteed to get a "what's wrong with you? Get away from me, creepo" response. They know this because these groups want guys to go out and get rejected so they come running back for soothing because the world is mean. It's manipulative as shit, but it works to sell shit. Right? Oh, take this other course. No, you just did it wrong. You don't have what it takes right now, boy. You gotta get like me. You gotta pay for this because you got to invest in yourself or you're going to be nothing. It's a rough world out there. That's what they say to men. Meanwhile, they teach, I've been in feminist circles. This was my issue with the feminist circles. The language just, the fact that kill all men ever became remotely acceptable anywhere. The rad femme takeover in the 70s didn't work. And we're doing it again. There's a reason Gloria Steinem is a bigger name than somebody like Robin Morgan or, Andrea Dworkin is a name not for good reasons, right? And Betty Friedan has a complicated legacy. But like Gloria Steinem became, the somewhat acceptable feminist because she wasn't doing the straight up "I hate men" rhetoric. Cause effect, right? Please watch how your language is keeping you isolated. And I'm not saying the commenter did that. I thought this was a beautiful comment. That's why I shared it. Because she's right. There's a lot of mutual needs that we can fight for. And I want to do that as a community. So if you come up here and just, "Oh, good try, little woman, but this is all the ways you went wrong." Fuck off. I don't care. You're trying too hard. Just go away. That doesn't work with me. I don't care. I don't claim traffic. I don't care if one person doesn't watch my shit anymore. Go away. I'm interested in the people who are willing to, work with common cause. Check your fucking attitude, right? The rest of you, I'm happy to have you here. And this is why we have the Discord community. This is why we have these things. Because I want a community that finds common cause, that supports each other. And that means I'm not going to put up with this negging propagandistic crap, right? So thank you to those who were supportive and met people where they were and didn't try to dominate with bullshit. To the rest of y'all, fuck off. We don't need you. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Thanks for watching. Thanks for those who came with supportive energy. And have a great weekend.